Celtic are back in Europa League action tomorrow night as we take on Feyenoord in Rotterdam in Matchday 5 of this season's competition. The games are running out, Greg. We're pretty light in terms of points at this moment in time, 4 points out of 12, and we need to get our skates on if we're to qualify. What's your initial thoughts ahead of this one?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. If we have any ambition about going into the knockout phase, then we really need a victory tomorrow. It's strange, just in the life of Celtic just now, with the new managerial appointment looking close, with all the jeopardy domestically and what's going on off the field, you actually completely forget about the Europa League, and it's kind of in the complete back burner. And it's a shame because I really thought we would go and compete this year. But just with what we've had, with injuries, with poor transfer window in the summer, we're in a position where it's almost a bit of a shot to nothing, because if you don't win tomorrow, you really are struggling, aren't you? So it'll be interesting. I think it'll be really interesting looking at the starting lineups for tomorrow night's game, Tino.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a moment. Where are you at, though, just generally speaking, on this competition? I've maintained that, I mean, there is no doubt that it's not just a slightly lower, a far lower calibre of teams that are in it. You know, there's a whole mishmash of teams that are pretty poor. There's a couple of teams at the top that will definitely be vying to win it. But in theory, Celtic should be vying to at least get to knockout stages and maybe nudge our way through. But we know that we're not famed for knockout football in Europe at this moment in time, or actually any great time over the last 20 years. But my big frustration is that was there for the taking. Not necessarily to go and win, right? That would be an outlandish claim given where we're at. But at least to compete and go deep in the competition. But actually, for a number of weeks now, the likes of James on the show, I'm not entirely sure where Paddy and Miff are, but the boys have said, forget that this time around. Let's just regroup given the turmoil of the season so far, and let's just focus on getting back on top over Hearts at the top of the table. I'm not quite there. I'm kind of clinging on to the fact that if you do manage to get a win or at least some sort of positive result tomorrow night, you've still got a chance of progressing, and who knows, you could then invest in January. Wilfred Nonsi could hit the ground running, and it still could be a thing. But where are you at? Where do you prioritise this tournament?
You're ever the optimist, Tino. That's what I love.
Ever the mug?
There's a couple of things to take from that. I think if you look at the Champions League this year and the Europa, I think there's a lot of teams in it that are pretty poor. Actually, I think the Champions League reflects that as well. If you look at some of the games, I really like the new kind of league format initially, and now the more I look at it, I'm not quite sure. I think it throws up a lot of really poor calibre games. I totally agree with you. I think at the start of the season, I think I said it was on record as saying we should be going and trying to get to the latter stages of this competition without doubt. With the bankroll we have, with the player squad we have, I thought we're in a really good position to kind of go and challenge in the Europa. And as I say, get to latter stages. However, all that has been absolutely went up in flames with what happened in summer, with managerial situation, etc., etc. So I have to say I am siding towards parking the Europa this year, parking Europe, and just looking at domestically, because with the group of players we have just now and with injuries we have, I just don't think we can fight the fight on both fronts, and I think we really have to concentrate on trying to retain the league, which is definitely not a foregone conclusion, you know.
Yeah, listen, that's all well and good, and it's fair enough. But if I end up with 2 tickets for the final and Celtic get there, you're not getting one for that kind of defeatist
That's
attitude.
okay.
But let's see.
Was that the test? Was that the test to see what I would say and see you got the ticket?
Exactly that.
I feel
But no, listen, anything like that would be a million miles away at this moment in time. But while you're in it, you've got to compete as best you can. And let's take it forward on that vein. So it's Martin O'Neill. He's confirmed in the press conference this afternoon, I've just caught some headlines on it, that this will be his last European game in charge of Celtic. I was going to say probably ever. 100% ever. He won't be coming back for a third spell, I wouldn't expect. So this will be Martin O'Neill's swan song in Europe. Maybe a shame that it's away from home, but it is what it is. And overall, Greg, you'd have to say he's done a really decent job, a more than decent job at steadying the ship. I mentioned at the time I thought it was a very sensible appointment as an interim team between him and Sean Maloney. And I know we didn't get the result in Michelin. Maybe that was a stretch too far for this squad. But he has steadied the ship. And it would be a real nice touch if he manages to go out on some sort of high between tomorrow night and Easter Road on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you You're absolutely right. It would be great if he could leave Celtic, and what he has done instead of the ship, he's got some very good results domestically. I think Martin O'Neill would be the first one to say he would park the performance side of things, and it's purely results at the moment with where we are. And he's definitely done that. He's got us into the cup final against Rangers. Domestically, we haven't been brilliant on the pitch, but we've ground out results. Hopefully that continues into Sunday. And yeah, Midtjylland was the one kind of game you looked at and thought we looked miles out of depth here. And he was very honest about it and said that himself. Tomorrow's slightly different in terms of they're not at the top of their game either. They're very similar to where we're at just now, so it makes it quite interesting.
That's the end of the preview on this bonus episode from Celtic Exchange, but the full episode's available right now over on Patreon, which is where you'll find all of our additional shows, including pre- and post-match for every game, a range of bonus features, plus the daily podcast, which we record every weekday morning. As a member, you'll also get access to our exclusive members-only Celtic Chat community and a host of other benefits, all for just £5 a month. And you can be there in just a few clicks by heading to patreon.com/Celtic Exchange, where you'll join the growing community of Celtic fans who now get more from Celtic Exchange each and every week. So that's patreon.com/Celtic Exchange, or simply click the link in the show notes for this episode.